First, Rupert Lowe was kicked out the party, then Zia Youssef quit the party and came back 48 hours later, and now James Mcmurdock has been suspended. Well, he's suspended himself from the Reform Party. He has surrendered the whip pending an investigation. The Times has done an exclusive on this, which we're going to go through right now, and Reform have put out a statement on this. Let's get into it. What is going on? Politics, they say a week is a long time in politics. It certainly is. We've had all the chaos with Rachel Reeves crying this week, the welfare bill, them not even able with a huge majority to get through a bill that would only save 5 billion quid off the welfare bill. And the politics doesn't even stop on a Saturday. We can't even get a chill weekend, guys. But of course, I'm here, of course, to keep you all updated with what is going on. So this is the statement that has just come out from Lee Anderson. The official statement. He says, "I have today received a call from James Mcmurdock, who has advised me as Chief Whip that he has removed the party whip from himself, pending the outcome of an investigation into allegations that are likely to be published by a national newspaper. The allegations relate to business propriety during the pandemic and before he became an MP. At Reform UK, we take these matters very seriously, and James has agreed to cooperate in full with any investigation. We will not be commenting further at this moment." So, James Mcmurdock has not been kicked out the party. He's decided to remove himself, just to be clear. And also, just to be clear, this is not to do with the whole saga of his spent conviction for supposedly kicking his girlfriend. We won't go into the details of that. We'll just look at what is going on with this whole business propriety situation. We've got all the details in this Times exclusive that has just come out. And what a shame. After, the 1 year anniversary, just yesterday, I've just checked James's Twitter to see if he's tweeted anything about this. He's kept quiet. We've just got the statement and the Times article for now, but of course we'll keep you updated if anything else comes out. I'm sure that he and the Reform Party will be wary to not make this a whole big Twitter spat like was very much the case in the Rupert Lowe fallout. But, having just checked James's Twitter, one of the last things he's posted is yesterday saying, what a year, what a privilege, celebrating a year since they got those 5 MPs at the general election on the 4th of July last year. And all that celebration, well, it's all gotten a bit dreary now because James Mcmurdock, they've lost another MP. They came in with only 5 MPs, got a huge number of votes, very, very impressive, but they've lost 2 MPs in that time. Yes, they've gained one, Sarah Pochin, but to have 2 out of 5 of the MPs that you came in with just a year ago, both gone. Some people, you tell me what you think in the comments below, but some people may be thinking, is this going to be a party of chaos like the Tory party where there is constant infighting and whatnot? I think, what this shows is the importance of the vetting process, at least when it comes to MPs. And I did just get an email yesterday. I haven't gone through all the details of it, but Reform sent an email round to their members announcing their new very strict rules for vetting candidates. They're not going to make the same mistakes again that they did, because obviously this whole debacle about his girlfriend, kicking his girlfriend, was not they didn't realise that before they put him forward as a candidate before the general election last year. And maybe what we're going to talk about now, this business propriety issue, maybe that would have been uncovered rather than it, before he was picked as an MP, rather than it having to end like this. But anyway, let's get into it, folks. So let's read through the details in this Times article. It's quite nitpicky in particular, but we'll go through it. A Reform MP has been suspended, has suspended himself from the party after a Sunday Times investigation into £70,000 of loans he took out during the pandemic. James Mcmurdock, the MP for South Basildon and East Thurrock, took the decision after this newspaper approached him with allegations he borrowed tens of thousands of pounds under the government's bounce back loan scheme in 2020. He borrowed the funds through two companies companies he owned. One was Jam Financial Limited, which had no employees and negligible assets until the pandemic. In 2020, it took out a loan of 50 grand, the maximum sum available under the loan scheme available for medium-sized businesses during the pandemic. For a firm to have received such a loan, it would have needed to report turnover of at least 200 grand. But, sounds like this was just a company that was maybe registered and not actually doing anything. How he managed to get that grant exactly, given he perhaps didn't have a 200 grand turnover, I don't know. But let's look through the rest of the details. In 2021, Mcmurdock transferred his shares in the company to his mother and resigned as director. Sounds fishy. The other was Gym Live Health and Fitness Limited, which was dormant until January 31st, 2020. Over the following year, it borrowed 20 grand, which would have required a turnover of 80 grand under the bounce back scheme. Neither company filed accounts or annual corporate filings after the loans, a violation of the Companies Act. As a result of the failure to submit the information required, both companies were due to be struck off the register, meaning they would have ceased to exist and any remaining assets would have been seized by the Crown. However, in February 2023, on the same day, the process of suspending both companies was halted after the company regulator received an objection from a third party. It is understood this related to the loans in some way. Both remain active on Companies House. Okay. Separately, Mcmurdock appears to... So that's what's going on with the business loan situation. Here we've got some other stuff about parliamentary rules. Mcmurdock appears to have breached parliamentary rules by failing to list his directorship of Gym Live Health and Fitness Limited on his register of interests. Parliamentary rules state that MPs must register significant formal unpaid roles, such as an unpaid director, a directorship of a company not currently trading, or a trusteeship. So you'll see there it says directorship of a company not currently trading. So even if the company was registered as dormant with Companies House, he needed to declare this and he didn't. Labour has referred him to the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner, so getting quite serious there. Approached for comment, Mcmurdock warned, be very, very careful, and said a technical expert would be needed for anybody to understand the matters. He repeatedly refused to say why he took out the loans, but the disclosures will be awkward for reform, which has prioritised slashing the size of the state and reducing waste in government. Lee Anderson said, we've read that statement already. So those are the details that we have got so far. This story has just broken. As I said, we've just got a statement from the Reform Party. And this article, it looks like at the moment, nothing on James Mcmurdock's Twitter to try and explain himself or anything. So we'll see how this develops throughout the day. But I think regardless of all the details of this, I think you can say, as they've said in this article, this is going to be awkward for reform. They are going to be asked in media round after media round now, whenever any of the MPs in the party go on, be it Nigel, be it Lee, be it anyone else, are you a party of chaos? Can you guys keep it together? Can you guys, be united as a team? They're going to be asked this over and over and over again after having yet another MP gone. Now, it does say this was, well, we'll go back to that in a moment. It does say in the statement that he has removed the party whip from himself pending the outcome of an investigation. So that suggests that if the outcome of an investigation were to say James hasn't done anything wrong, he may come back to the party. But I think we know how these things work. Once you're gone, you're gone. I mean, look at what happened with Rupert Lowe. Although we later found out he was in, various, police said he's not guilty of anything and whatnot. He's no longer in the party. It's quite difficult to come back. So I think we can presume he's probably gone for good, but there is a small possibility of him coming back. But anyway, just, reflecting on how much change has been in the past year. So we had this photo taken of the 5 of them going in there. You've got Rupert Lowe there. You've got James Mcmurdock there. Both no longer with us. Only 3 out of 5 of those lot there. They just the other day retook that photo now that Rupert Lowe is no longer there and Sarah Pochen has joined the team. Very lovely photo, I have to say, but I guess they're going to have to retake it now, because we need to, or they could crop that actually. They could crop the side out and just leave James Mcmurdock out the picture, but not sure how good it would look. They're probably going to have to do another one. They just posted that on social media everywhere. It's their cover photo on Twitter. But yeah, how things change quick in politics. So let's just take a look and see what you guys are thinking in the comments. Who's watching England women tonight? I have to say I am not interested in football. It doesn't excite me. So this guy says reform can't run itself properly, yet it thinks it can run the UK. Exactly. A lot of people are going to be asking the question, you know, you guys say you are different from the Tories, you're different from Labour, but it looks like you guys are the same, just constant fallouts. So I don't think that. I think that reform, I think every party has its struggles, every party has its dramas, and its scandals. That's completely unavoidable. And yeah, it is disappointing to see that we've had 2 MPs out of 5 disappearing over the past year. But I do think this is the party, you know, I think these are teething problems. And in terms of will this affect their popularity, look what happened with Rupert Lowe. And that really, the Rupert Lowe saga, that was far more chaotic than Zia quitting for 48 hours, or this will be, because this is a case of James removing himself. And I have to say, when it's about loans as opposed to allegations of, say, bullying women, like in the case of Rupert Lowe, it's probably a little bit less contentious, even if he has done something that's technically wrong and illegal. I highly doubt this will be as much of a storm. And with the Rupert Lowe case, the most chaotic of all of them, look at the local elections, guys. It didn't really affect them. But unnecessary stress for the Reform Party, I think it's fair to say. Chris says Richard Tice to blame. Hate not hope Nick Lowe's was used before Nigel Farage took the leadership up. I don't see how Richard Tice has anything to do with this, with the facts that we know so far. I mean, you guys can contemplate, but I don't see what Richard has done wrong here. Debbie, still on the Reform bus. I'm still loyal to Nigel on Reform. At least he's wiped until we know the score. Yeah, exactly. You know, if he has broken the law, as chaotic and as stressful as it's going to be, he's got to go. Luckily, he's removed himself rather than, you know, having to go kicking and screaming and having to kick him out, and there be, you know, a whole argument of why have you kicked me out of the party on Twitter. He's decided to remove himself. That hopefully makes things a lot easier. And listen, guys, I mean, tell me what you guys think, but I do not think there is any point saying, oh, look at the Reform Party, because we've had a few squabbles, let's just leave them and either go back to the Tories, who, let's be honest, they're not going to achieve anything, or let's go vote for Ben Habib's new party. Do you really think Ben Habib's new party is going to overtake Reform and be in a position to win the 2029 general election? No, it's not. All that's going to do is split up the vote on the right even more, okay? I say, you guys, you know, despite the teething problems, people have got to get behind Reform. We can't have a million different parties on the right. You know, we've got a Lawrence Fox party, a Ben Habib party, a Reform party, the Tory party. It just, we've got to, you know, we've got to get it together, guys, else Labour are going to be in power forever. I mean, look how much Keir Starmer has ruined the country in just a year. You don't, 4 more years of it sounds scary enough. Can you imagine another 5 on that? Because us lot decide to vote for so many different parties on the right that we split the vote up. I mean, at least now we've got the Zara Sultana Jeremy Corbyn party to maybe split up the vote on the left a little bit. Anyway, George, looking hopeful, says Reform will still win the next general election. Fake news says Tice, just like Farage, is a snake, Chloe. They lie to us all the time. That's why I'm voting for UKIP. And he says UKIP all the guy. UKIP's gone, guys. Okay, it was a thing back in the day. UKIP, they're not going to win the 2029 general election. It is a wasted vote. The only parties that have any shot of getting into power are arguably the Reform Party or the Labour Party at the next general election. With some miracles, maybe the Tory Party. But those are your free choices, guys. You vote for anyone else in a first-past-the-post system, you're wasting your time, guys, okay? Even if you prefer UKIP for whatever reason. Instead, it's not going anywhere. But that's my point of view. Absolutely, the average says it's a shame Reform are full. It's kind of, as I said, it's a shame they've lost 2 out of 5 MPs in just 1 year. It's pretty shocking, and of course we had the drama with Zia Youssef quitting for 48 hours. But as I said, your options are Keir Starmer, the Tory Party, or the Reform Party. Any other little party, not going to get in. Don't waste your time. Of those 3, I'm very much still behind Reform, but you guys let me know what you think. KH Gamer says, in the end, no matter who is in Parliament, no one represents us, just an elite club, not even Reform. Yeah, so there will be some people who say, yeah, I might still vote Reform, but I've lost hope now. I feel like it's the same old squabbles. Yes, they might be the best. You might say they are the better of, let's say, 3 evils in this case, if you've got Tories, Reform, and the Labour Party, but you don't think they're actually going to do anything. Maybe that's your point of view. That's not my point of view. I think that the Reform Party, I think they are an exciting party who actually has ambition and drive and has people who actually understand business, for example, running the show. But in any party, there are going to be teething problems, and they need to make sure that they really, with whatever their new vetting standards are, as I said earlier, we've just had an email come out about that, they are very, very thorough. They get the right people. They do not get people who are going to cause problems, because they cannot deal with this all the time when they're trying to prepare to run the country. Anyway, let's leave it there, folks. Of course, we'll keep you updated if there are any big new updates, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already so you don't miss out. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching.